So, 2 pi over 3. 2 pi over 3. What quadrant, guys? What are we talking about? Second quadrant. And if you're a cheater chart kind of person, it was a 1, 2, 3. Hence, it was a square root of 3 over 2 with a positive sign, right? The sign is positive, all students in the second quadrant. Oh. How about 5 pi over 4? What quadrant? Third, because we have all 4 and 1 more. 5 pi over 4. Cosine is a negative. That's worth a point if you just cut that. And all the 45s, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2. Square root of 2 over 2. All 45s for sines and cosines. What was a little weird about number 3? What quadrant did I have you in? 4. Instead of going up pi over 3, you went down pi over 3. Now, if you missed the quadrant, you might have just missed a point for the sine. Wait a minute. Oh, no, it's tangent. Sorry. If it was cosine, you would have been good. But tangent, well, it does need to be a negative because it is in the fourth quadrant. But if you knew it was a pi over 3, hopefully you still matched it to square root of 3 over 3, 1 square root of 3, square root of 3. 11 pi over 6, what quadrant was that guy?
4.
Yeah, it was 1/6 away from that 6/12 pi, right? Cosine in the first quadrant is a positive, so I'm not showing it obviously, but it was a positive. And 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 3. Square root of 3 over 2. And then secant. Oh, who is secant? The reciprocal. 1 over cosine. And so when we're trying to fill in the cosine, wait, pi over 2, isn't that 90? So maybe you remember that the adjacent doesn't have anything, is 0, or maybe you remember the point itself is 0, or maybe in your cheater chart you looked and saw that cosine is 0, but what's 1 over 0? Undefined. Last but not least, that 25 pi over 6, dang, that had you spinning, right? We had 6, we had 12, we had 18, we had 24, and we had... You put us right back in the first quadrant. You're welcome. Right back in the first quadrant. Hence, this guy is a positive. He's a 1 over tangent. Tangent of a pi over 6 is square root of 3 over 3, but it has been flipped. Okay. Some of you, maybe yesterday was your high one. Cool, that's going to be your grade. Some of you, maybe today was the high one. Cool, that's going to be your grade. And some of you are like, I think something just clicked and maybe I can do it now and I couldn't do it before. Maybe you should come see me today or tomorrow and be like, can you give me one more try? No, it's not going to be these problems. They'll be off the top of my head and who knows what's going to come out. But you're going to have 5 and you're going to have a bonus. So if you really, really, really want to fight for it and you're like, I think I got it now. A couple of you were like absent, didn't quite know. The weekend, you're like, it wasn't on, although it was on RunWeb and Google Classroom and the calendar, and I have it on the board, and the sub was supposed to. Guys, I don't know how many more ways to tell you. I don't know. But anyway, I'll let you come and be like, can I have one more try? Cool. Why? The point isn't, did you know it today? The point isn't, did you know it yesterday? The point is, can you use it over and over and over and over? Does that make sense? So, if you want to have one more try, I don't totally mind if you're like, I bombed that one too. Now, if I'm giving you another quiz, I'm not going to help you on it. I'm not going to answer questions on it, but I will give you 5 new problems in a bonus and see how you can do. Again, if you want to ask me questions before, have me tutor you before, we can do that too. Anyway, today or tomorrow, if you guys want one more try in the unit circle, you have to come fight for it. Hey, yesterday's chapel, Courageous Warriors. Can you be Courageous Warrior in that class? Ironically, yes. And for some of you, you need to fight harder than we've been. But do you have to do it alone? Wasn't his point God empowers us? But man, there's grace. You don't have to do it alone. Your teachers are trying to help you. Let's talk about the quest. So, the quest. Anyway, I'm giving you a chance to fight for something. If you want to fight for this unit circle and you want to try again, come. Okay. As I already said, there is a non-calculator portion and a calculator portion. 1 page front back of both. A little bit of all multiple choice, the entire thing, both parts. You're welcome. Unless you've been getting multiple choice wrong. But some of you, the long answers are your weakest points. So you do not have to worry about any long answers tomorrow. Nice. But didn't I tell you that part of it doesn't have a calculator? So listen carefully. You probably want to listen super carefully to which ones aren't calculator problems. Supplements and complements. Those are non-calculator? Yep. What if I was to ask you for, are you ready? The supplement, yes, I'm giving you a very specific example, of 23 pi over 25. That's not a unit circle, you liar. You said no non-unit circles tomorrow. Wait, no sines or cosines or tangents, non-unit circles. You can do him. How many pieces are missing from a whole pie?
1, 2.
So what's the supplement?
2 pi over 25.
The only time you'll see on the non-calculated portion of a test something that's not unit circle is if I'm asking you something non-trig. I'm asking you something non-trig. Yep. Hey, would that have a complement? No. Because complements add up to
90.
90 is a half pi. Isn't 23 over 25 way over a half?
Yes.
No complement. Question on today's quiz. When I gave you negative pi over 3, what were you supposed to think of? Rotating the opposite direction, right? Positive angles rotate up from standard. Negative angles rotate down. Something to keep in mind tomorrow. You're going to have to convert. You're going to have to convert tomorrow from degrees to radians or radians to degrees. Maybe on the calculator, maybe on the non-calculator. If it's non-calculator, I can't give you anything too nasty, right? But when do you multiply by pi over 180? When do you multiply by 180 over pi? Think bridges. Coterminal angles. Coterminal angles. Ooh, I can play again with my radians. What if I was to ask you for a coterminal angle of, I don't know, someone give me some nasty denominator that's not in the unit circle. Anyone? Okay, 10. What if I was to ask for a coterminal of 7 pi over 10? What do you have to add to it? 2 pi. Good. And 2 pi is 20 tenths, right? So if you add 20 to 7, what would be a coterminal angle? 27. What if they were being really mean and said not just a positive like homework, but a negative? Instead of adding 2 pi, you would subtract 2 pi. So you would subtract 20 tenths. You get negative 13. Are you guys seeing some of these types of questions in your review? Coterminals, supplements, complements, converting. Hey. Do we know the Pythagorean theorem?
Yeah.
A squared plus b squared is c squared. How did homework make the Pythagorean theorem hard?
They put the missing angle as...
Yeah, so maybe they were asking you to solve for unknowns, right? So what if they were asking you, actually, can I just go in your notes for this one? Maybe you want to take a quick note of this. I think it was section 4. Ooh, we're not going that way. That's after Thanksgiving. Hold on. We're peeking at it a little bit before Thanksgiving, but not for long. Ooh. I don't know if that's my favorite one. It's not a bad one. There's a few different good ones, guys. Our notes actually have multiple good examples. Here's one good one. If they give you something like what side equals. Is this a Pythagorean problem question? Actually, yes. Why? Because they only give you 2 sides. What did you have to do to finish the triangle? Or have the Pythagorean triple memorized. But yeah, if they ever give you 2 sides, you can always solve for the third with Pythagorean theorem. So sometimes if they give you like a sine, cosine, or tangent, they've given you 2, opposite over hypotenuse, or opposite over hypotenuse, or opposite over hypotenuse. They've given you 2, you just had to find the third and then use it. Another place where they give you 2 pieces of information is what if they give you something like this. I think Nikki was asleep or something. If they give you 2 pieces of information and you have to find the next one. But this actually wouldn't be Pythagorean theorem because they're not asking us for, well they are, but I don't have enough information. I have to use the angle, and if I'm using the angle, what am I using? Sines or cosines or tangents, right?
Didn't you know that a 30, 60, 90 triangle though?
Well, if you have memorized the ratio, that would help. But we haven't talked a lot about geometry. But yeah, if you did know it was 30/60, you might remember from geometry that this is like your 1x, and this is your root 2x. No, sorry, 2x.
Oh, yeah.
But for what's coming, what if this was like a 58 degree on the calculator portion?
That would not be helpful.
So then just sine of 58 equals y over 18, and you would just solve in your calculator. So kind of like this way better, just because it works whoever he is.
So this is calculator portion.
If it was 58 degrees.
Okay.
And if it was 60 or 30 or 45, shouldn't you know who that is? You plug in. Or, I mean, you could have the geometry ratios memorized. It's just unit circle technically. P.S. One of these with a 30, 45, or 60 on the non-calculator portion. One of these, 30, 60, 45, non-calculator portion. Otherwise, you're seeing things like different quadrants as far as when sine is positive and cosine is negative, or when secant is positive and tangent is negative, or talking about like all students take calculus. And then, yeah, a couple unit circle places, a few unit circle places. Now guys, that was on non-calculator. Calculator portion, reference angles. Reference angles. What's that little extra piece? Either extra going to the 180, the pi, or extra going to the 360 or the 2 pi. Things like converting that are messier. Conversions that are messier, so a little bit harder to do. Degrees, minutes, seconds, but you'll have your calculator. Where's that special menu where you can do degrees, minutes, seconds? Second, apps, I think. You can double check if you have your calculator out. The second, apps.
Angles?
Yeah, in the angle menu.
Okay.
In the angle menu. I don't even think I give you minutes. I think, or seconds. Sorry, I don't even think I give you seconds. I think I only give you minutes, so that helps. How do you do a cosecant or a secant or a cotangent on your calculator?
1 over.
1 over. You have to divide, right? So remember, if you're doing something like sine of, I don't even know, 5 pi over 12. I'm just making something up that's not the unit circle. So this would be on like the calculator portion of the exam. Maybe you're like solving a triangle and that's your angle. Before I hit enter, what angle mode should my calculator be in?
Degrees?
Now, 5 pi over 12, radians are appropriate, right? If you do decide to try to do some of those radians in your calculator, or you have to, like this one, it's not unit circles, you would have to be in radians. But guys, if you're solving like a word problem, or if you're solving, I don't know, trying to convert, or doing like a, I don't know, degrees, minutes, seconds problem, and you were trying to put in, let's just do that second apps to remind you that degrees, and then maybe you have, I don't know, like 49 minutes. Am I going to be right if I hit enter right now in the same mode as this guy? What do I have to change? I'm in degrees, I'm not in radians. So to be honest, for the calculator portion, I think what you want more than anything is degrees. So you can kind of, if you're using it in your test review and you're using it for radians, okay, but otherwise I'm going to probably remind you before the class tomorrow to put your calculator in degree, because for most of the problems on the calculator portion, I think you want degrees. Sorry, let's just leave. And that would be appropriate for that one. Okay. I think besides that, pretty much those are all the hints I want to give. Oh, sorry, I was just saying cosecant, secant, cotangent. I never actually did it. So question, who would I be solving right now if I did 1 over cosine of something like 56 degrees? Who is that guy that I'm finding? Secant. Mm-hmm. Or if I wanted cosecant, it'd be 1 divided by sine. If I wanted cotangent, 1 divided by sine. Kiddos, I want you guys to be able to work. I've gone through the non-calculator and calculator portions. Each of them are about 10-ish questions. I think the calculator portion has a bit fewer than the non-calculator. So is it important to know your unit circle for tomorrow?
Yes.
Yeah. But is it just the unit circle quest? No, we've done that. We've been there. That was yesterday. That was today. It's going to involve actual problems that you're solving. It's kind of indicated by the review itself. And one more time, the examples in the notes are excellent practice. Now pause. Some of your brains, is it enough to go to your notes and look at the problem and say, it makes sense. I'll ace it tomorrow. Or should you maybe go in the video to where we solve that problem, pause it at the very beginning, solve it again, and see, listen to my instruction, did you know how to do it or do it correctly by yourself? Okay, there's some really good examples in our notes that are similar to test problems. But some of you, it's not enough just to stare at it. You have to actually try. Okay? And I'll let you guys go ahead and work. I was just thinking, hold on, one more thing. Oh, logistics. When you walk in tomorrow, what's going up there? Phones. Okay, what's going up here? Notes and homework spirals. This is the last assessment before Thanksgiving break. I know it's not a full chapter test, but it's still an assessment, so notes and then homework spirals. So some of you right now, if you've been missing points on notes, go to your table of contents, just update it now. Some of you are running in before the test and updating, just do it now. Homework spirals will also get turned in with 4.1 to 4.4 and the review. Once again, you don't have to write questions or problems. How is this whole calculator, non-calculator thing going to work? Should be your next question, so you're ready for it. Your calculator is going to start open, hopefully in degree mode, under your desk. So what portion are you starting with? Everybody. The non-calculator portion, the longer portion of the test. Okay. So you're going to start with the non-calculator portion. How do you get the calculator portion? You turn in the non-calculator. Then you get the calculator. Now some of you have to grapple with, I'm not going to want to let it go because I like to go back and double check before you turn it in. But to some degree you're going to have to let go of control. You're going to have to do the best you can, let it go to get the second portion of the test. You can't agonize on the first portion the whole classroom. Does that make sense? Yeah. Second portion, I think it's 7 questions. You'll do 10 non-calculator, 7 with the calculator. Once you get calculator portion, calculator comes up, you can use it. No going back to the other portion of the test once you have your calculator. Okay? Questions?
Do we have to know about the area of the angle, the sector?
No. All of those physics-ish formulas you do not need to know. So linear, angular speed, all of those. Know that a degree is much smaller than a radian. You guys still 7-ish minutes, 8-ish minutes? If you've gotten stuck on something on the review, I would love to answer it. If you think the whole class wants to hear it, I don't mind. I can pull it up on the review itself. Or if you just want to call me over. Yeah. But that's the calculator portion, right? I didn't say degrees, minutes, seconds until the calculator part.
But this one says without a calculator.
There's okay, I think so, what angle do you have? What number? 13?
Yes. 13.
I said degrees, minutes, seconds only show up on the calculator portion test tomorrow, so just in case. Number 13 gives you what angle?
190.
So So then when you're in your calculator, that's in degrees, double checking. For number 13, you're like, I have this. I want degrees, minutes, seconds. Done. Numbers. Oh, well, thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you just went. Anybody else stuck on something? Don't forget your calculators tomorrow. It'll be a sad day.
Yeah, I'm right on it.
Sad, sad day if you forget your calculators tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's why I cleared it for you.
Okay. But then just, yeah, you leave it on the table even if not.
See that?
Thanks, Emma.
Yeah, that's right.
Like nutrition? Just have a blank piece of paper ready for me with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals. You guys might remember there was a huge table of trig properties that we covered in one of these sections. It's not really a huge emphasis on the quest. It's going to be in chapter 5. You just need to know that like cotangent is 1 divided by tangent. Secant is 1 divided by cosine, stuff like that.